Those aren't even all the allegations that Landau has launched against Crowder. We're going to be going through more of them, but first, I do want to say thank you to today's sponsor, Patriot Gold. According to a lot of people, the 2023 financial crisis has begun. According to Bloomberg, for example, the missing...
Bro, I feel like I've heard we're going to enter a recession or some sort of financial crisis for like 2 years. Where is it, fam-a-lambs?
Catalyst is here. The banking crisis signals the economy's ebbing tide. BlackRock CEO Lawrence Fink has also warned the dominoes are starting to fall and the cost of easy money is here. And a big thank you to Patriot Gold Group for sponsoring this video. So once more, if you haven't seen Dave's interview with Michael, I recommend you check it out yourself just so you get first-hand knowledge of what exactly he said. But among the things he alleges Crowder did while they were working together was, number one, have a light installed in the studio to stop Dave from talking over Crowder too much.
It became a little weird because a light was put in where it was his rant button. It was basically a Dave don't talk button.
So it's like
He had a rant button? He's got an actual epic Vosh rant button. Like, I'm doing a rant right now. I'm doing an epic fucking Vosh rant right now. Please do not interrupt me. I need one of these.
camera, but in your eyesight.
Yes, and
would he be the one pressing the button, or was there a producer pressing the button?
He would press it.
So like Mr. Burns, like he had a button under his desk or the table, and when it's Steven's turn to talk and Dave needs to shut the F up, he presses this button.
Yes.
And Dave also mentions a specific event where there was some tension over who a guest co-host might be that ended in Crowder literally yelling at him over the phone.
So I just text Steven and said, hey, I just talked to the showrunner. I just want to make sure it's still cool that Matt comes in. And he texted me something back along the lines of, what's done is done. I said, what does that mean? It's your show, which is ironic. That's what he said. And my phone rings, and you know, I don't want to go.
Okay, I might be crazy. I can be a petty motherfucker. And I guess I deal with a lot of kids in my industry. A lot of this shit talking feels like children, though. Like, if you're gonna come out here and blow your employer up, I'm thinking like, so I work for Steven Crowder. This motherfucker said you work Friday and Saturday for free. I didn't get paid for 20% of my time there, right? Or like, after we'd finished shows, Crowder was in a drunken stupor and would sometimes like hurl epithets at us. Okay. Or like I signed a contract saying I get paid this much, and instead he said at the end of the term, oh, if you don't like it, sue me, right? That's what I'm thinking of. But instead, it's like these like leaks are like, well, he's got a button and when he doesn't want us to talk, he pushes a button and it's really bad. And then one time when we had a guest on his show, he said, what's done is done. It's like, who the fuck cares? Like, it's such weak bullshit. Like, it's so cringe. Like, you all sound like little babies. Like, yeah, people do weird shit on their shows sometimes, but like, this isn't like a big expose tell-all. I don't know.
Greatly into the conversation between us, but it was, he's like, do you still want to be on Loud with Crowder? And I said, not at the moment. And he starts going off on me, and now there's a ton of people in my apartment who can hear it.
Wait, he's literally raising his voice?
He's screaming at me.
Okay, so literally raising his voice, not just being stern, like to the point.
So like, raising his voice? He's literally raising his voice at me. Like, I mean, like, okay. Literally, he's not even being stern. He's actually raising his voice.
Point where people, it's audible.
It's audible?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's started stern, but then it got into telling me that he owns me, and
in those words.
Yes.
And as that Timcast article mentions, there was also this proposed very strict 5-minute tardy rule where Dave could not be more than 5 minutes late to when he was supposed to show up, lest he not be paid at all or even allowed in the office. And to be clear, there's a difference between a call time and an air time when you're in something like a podcast. A call time is when you're supposed to show up at the studio or on the set to, you know, get ready and just ensure that you're there with plenty of time before you need to go on. That's very different than the actual time that the podcast will be starting. So to be clear, in this contract, or at least this proposed clause, they were saying that Dave could not be more than 5 minutes late from when they tell him to get there, even if that left him with plenty of time to actually be on the show.
Okay, this is another thing. I think Lauren Chen has worked in real media before, because she's on The Blaze. Okay, bro, I know this from fucking band and shit, okay? Call time is when you're supposed to fucking be there, okay? If we've got a show at 5 and call is at 4:30, your ass better be there at 4:30. I don't want you to waltz in at 4:50 saying, oh no, I'll be ready in time, don't worry. No, fuck you. I want to know at 4:30, everybody's there that's supposed to be there, and then we're gonna go through either a rehearsal, a setup, we're gonna get ready. I don't want people running in at 4:52 with a Starbucks coffee and like, oh shit, hey guys, what are we doing? Like, let me go set up, we'll be good in like 8 minutes, like we're fine. Like, bro, like, yeah, if call time is 4:30, then you are there at 4:30. Well, for a band, it's you're in your seat with your instrument out at 4:30, right? But like, yeah, the idea like, oh, well, as long as you're there in time to start, bullshit. That's not what call time means, motherfucker. It's not a suggested show up time. It's not like it'd be nice if we be here time. It's I need you here at this time so that like the production and everybody can be set up ready to go. Not air time. You're not there by air time. You're there by call time. I don't know. It's really strange because she was on the Blaze for a while, I thought, with Glenn Beck. Maybe they didn't do any live shows, but like, damn, bro, what is this? That's such a weird thing for her to say. Like,
and I know a lot of people might say, well, you know, not wanting someone to be late for work, that's not exactly a crazy thing. But
yep.
First off, 5 minutes is not a lot of leeway. Like, I think you're pretty punctual if you're only 5 minutes late, at least.
She's from California. She's from California. I don't care what her Wikipedia says. I do not care what her Wikipedia says. She was born and raised in Los Angeles. To say some wild shit like that, she must be. She absolutely must be. That's the most Canadian born? Maybe is there like a California in Canada? That is the most Californian shit I've ever heard in my entire life. If you're only 5 minutes late, you're basically like the most on-time person. This is such a wild video to me, bro. What the fuck am I listening to?
For work, that's not exactly a crazy thing, but first off, 5 minutes is not a lot of leeway. Like, I think you're pretty punctual if you're only 5 minutes late, at least in my opinion. And the second thing, and I think why this was especially strange, at least to Dave, is that according to Dave, Crowder's team would often change the time that he was supposed to be at the studio, which of course made it hard to be punctual when, you know, you have other work to do for the show and they're changing the time you're supposed to be there, 7 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever it may be. And I think if you want someone...
Wait, how would it change? Are you doing show prep like I don't know. I feel like Destiny, nobody talking about Crowder right now is doing so in good faith. They all see an opportunity to get into good graces with the many enemies he's made in the right-wing media. They're all looking at the surface material and going, how can I spend this the worst way possible? That is exactly what's happening. When Crowder, also, by the way, fuck Crowder for trying to go at the Daily Wire because he did it in a stupid way. And he did it apparently with way too many skeletons in his fucking closet. So Crowder fucked himself here. And now his divorce is being dragged out to fucking make fun of him. Nobody gives a fuck about his wife. Nobody gives a fuck about his family. Least of all, fucking conservatives, okay? These people care about family less than any other fucking group on the planet, all right? So all of this shit is being wheeled out now. And now you've got all of these like political slugs / leeches coming up like, oh yeah, did you guys know that Steven Crowder drank sparkling water? And it's like, it's trying to like hop out on like every cringe fucking thing they possibly can. This is so, and it's so funny too, because this is a conservative, right? These are conservatives that we hear all the time. What do they say? Pick yourself by your bootstraps. Show up to work on time. Have some personal responsibility. Take some goddamn accountability on your life. Do what you can to better your situation. That's the conservative mindset constantly. Don't make excuses. Don't be on food stamps, you fat fuck. Starve. Don't go to get unemployment insurance. Get a job, you lazy fuck. And now it's like, well, if you're only 5 minutes late to work, is it even really that big of a deal? Like, if you miss call time, as long as you're there, like, by air time, it should be okay. And, like, what if your boss is changing your schedule around by a few hours all the time? You might not be able to prepare, right? Like, you sound like the biggest pussy in the fucking world. You have a dream job. You're working in online content creation for political media. You can show up to work on time. What the fuck? I don't know. That's just wild to me. It's just so funny.
Want to be on time, ensure they're on time, it's always a good idea to give them as much heads up as possible. But in any case, the general vibe I got from Dave's account of the time that he was on the show, it seems like Crowder has control issues, to say the least. Specifically, Dave mentioned things like Crowder wanting him to be in studio or like on call, on location, even when Dave had nothing to do at the studio, wasn't filming, wasn't even part of rehearsals. Crowder still wanted him to be physically there for reasons that escape my understanding, but to which Dave attributes to just, yeah, literally wanting control over him.
What?
Hello?
Hello, what do you want? I'm streaming.
Oh, okay. Maybe another time then.
Okay, bye.
Hi, stream. Okay.
Why you just randomly call me? What do you think is gonna happen? I'm a streamer. I'm always streaming, okay? I'm a workaholic. I don't know why Lav would just call me in the middle of my stream.
He wanted me to be there on more Fridays, and that started being a point of tension because I started making money on the road, and I did say I would be there on more Fridays, but every time I would show up, he wouldn't show up.
Hello, what's up? How you doing today?
Good, I have to get my chair.
That's awesome. Oh, because you left it over in the other place.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you need any help with that, or are you okay?
Help would be great, yeah. I got you a hot chocolate
Okay.
to help me.
It's just the chair, right?
You don't want to help me?
Do you really need, if you really need the help, I can help you. I'm being really polite offering right now. You're supposed to say, no, that's okay, I got it.
I do got it, but help would be appreciated.
It has wheels.
The wheels don't work.
They work well enough.
I could easily do it myself.
I can get it if you want. If you want me to get it, I can do it, but you have to entertain my stream.
Or
If
we can switch to mobile streaming for 5 minutes.
No, because I can't, I don't have connection throughout the building. So what do you want? Do you want to sit here or do you want to get your chair? You can do either one.
Like, you would go get my chair?
Yeah.
So I'd have to give you my, like, apartment code?
I already memorized it when I saw you type it in, but.
I guess I can get it.
Are you sure? Because you could just talk to these guys. I'll do whatever you want. You're the sunshine of my morning right now, okay? So if you want me to get it, I can do it. Okay, be careful.
About Steven not wanting him to leave Dallas to go on tour, even if it didn't necessarily affect him being on the show. Like, they would have stipulations, or they wanted to have stipulations of how many weekends Dave could be in town versus out of town, even though Dave didn't work weekends.
Can't be gone any more than every third weekend.
No, wait, so let's break this down also. Steven has started touring as a comedian.
Yes.
Steven is no dummy. Steven is very well aware that you and every comic, weekends are when you tour, hit the road, you make the money. So he is very clearly taking that secondary or even primary, possibly at this point, source of income from you, because
Okay, what were they doing in contract negotiations? If some motherfucker is offering you a contract saying you can't be away for any fucking weekend, why did you sign it? He just seems like a shit boss. No, again. Oh, you guys just, I don't know how to make you guys understand. One side of the story doesn't mean anything. Like, what's the other side? What's going on here? Why is this comedian guy, apparently, if that's an important thing, why is he signing a contract saying they can't go anywhere on weekends? What are you doing? What's the other side of the story? That's what I want to know. Bitch.
you're just going to be sitting in Dallas for no reason.
And throughout the interview, Dave also talks about how basically Steven wanted control or ownership over Dave's comedy special, which Dave had never agreed to give to Steven.
And then the next thing is comedy special releases through Louder with Crowder, because he always felt that he owned my special, even though, because he let me keep the door that night.
Okay.
But I didn't sign anything that said, oh, you're letting me keep the door, so now you own my comedy?
And on top of that, another common theme.
What does it mean when you say keep the door? Like he was filming in their studio or something? Also, if it was produced or sold with Louder with Crowder, why would you not assume that he owns it? Or at the very least has some type of license for it? Like, would that not be a standard assumption? Oh, ticket sales. Is it like being sold as a Louder with Crowder comedy special?
In the interview is also Steven apparently almost being, it seemed, afraid that Dave would be upstaging him, having funnier jokes or getting more attention.
It was just, hey, don't be funnier, don't be, and that's the truth. I mean, it sounds bitter, but I knew it was true because I was pulled aside and I said, and it was, hey, make sure if you're doing a rant or like you guys are riffing, he gets the last word.
You were told this explicitly?
Yes.
Now, obviously, these
That's pretty
allegations
funny.
don't look good for Steven Crowder. I think having someone who worked with or for you leaving on bad terms, that's never a positive thing if you are an employer. But what makes this whole situation look especially bad for Crowder, honestly, is the previous drama he's had with the Daily Wire. And I'm sure we are all familiar with what I'm talking about. If you're not familiar with it, I did do my own stream addressing the situation. Give that a watch if you haven't seen it. But essentially, during that whole fiasco, Steven Crowder was trying to paint himself as, you know, the morally upright party, the party who's in favor of fairness, or at least fair contracts, and not taking advantage of people, even if you have the power to do so. And if you've seen that stream of mine, you'll know, and I'm not gonna lie, in that particular instance, I definitely wasn't on the Daily Wire side. I've said it before, I don't like how that company does business. That bridge is already burned, so I have no problem talking about it. I mean, I like a lot of their work. I definitely like a lot of their hosts, but to me, that was not a good term sheet. That was, I would even go as far as to say, exploitative. However,
I don't know if these people, is this an act or are they all retarded? I actually don't know. I wish I could talk to one of these people. Like, I can't tell if they are actually fucking retards or if they're all just trying to like clout shark on all the Crowder drama right now. I just can't tell. An exploitative first offer term sheet. Get a fucking pen out and cross some shit off then. Jesus Christ.
just because I don't like the way that the Daily Wire behaved in that situation, that doesn't necessarily mean that Steven Crowder was in the right. And I know that a lot of people who watched that stream came away saying, oh, you're just simping for Crowder, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, in that stream, I explicitly mentioned that Steven Crowder has his own problems and he is certainly hard to work with. Well, this is a great example of those problems and him being hard to work with. And honestly, I'll go so far as to say, yes, if what Dave is saying is true, then in my opinion, this does make Steven Crowder a hypocrite. I mean, in my opinion, you can't in good faith complain about exploitative contracts while also simultaneously trying to get your co-host to start their own show every week on your network while offering them no extra money, which is something that Dave says Steven did try.
Tried to get, wait, hold on.
Next thing is he's ready to start his own show by his own Friday show by October 14th. So now I have a show every Friday for no extra money. So I can't tour on Fridays.
Let's break this down. So you are going to have your own show, which is a plus.
Yes.
But you're not getting paid a single dime to host your own new show on his network or his platform.
Correct.
From where I'm standing, even if—
Wait, then why would you even agree to do it? So there's so much weird shit going on here. If what that guy's saying is true right there, then why the fuck would you even agree to do that show? Wouldn't you just say, no, I don't want to? He said no and left? Oh, okay.
only a fraction of the things Dave says about Steven are true, it still paints him as someone who is very hard to work with, very controlling, and someone who, yeah, the rumors about are true, because Steven, I've mentioned this in the stream, he does have a reputation in this industry as being difficult to work with and kind of a diva. And I would say that the fact that Steven has such high turnover for his show, for co-hosts and things like that, it kind of does, in a way, lend credence to the idea that perhaps this man is not the best to work with. You know what, obviously, as someone who's had my own interactions with Steven that didn't end that great, if you guys, again, have seen the stream, you'll know what I'm talking about. I do recognize the fact that perhaps I'm just kind of biased against Crowder here, so I did want to go over some of the points that Crowder's defenders have brought up. Specifically, one of the points of contention that Dave mentions with Michael many times is that when he was appearing on Ladder with Crowder, they were supposed to be plugging his tour dates and his show dates because he was actually making quite a bit of money on the road versus just being a co-host, and it's almost like he was part of the package of him being on Crowder was getting that exposure to promote his tour. However, Dave says that after a certain point on the show, he wasn't able to promote his tour dates. He was being told specifically, don't plug your tour. That, or he was only able to plug tour dates that involved Steven because they did tour together for at least a while. Now, I don't watch Louder with Crowder enough to be able to give a statement as to what does or does not happen regularly on the show, but according to fans of Louder with Crowder, perhaps Dave is overestimating the amount that he was stopped from plugging the show. As this person on Twitter explains, Dave, I love you, man. Crowder always seemed like a tough guy to work for, but I watch every day. The claim that he didn't promote your shows just isn't true, man. I always knew where you were. It was mentioned all the time. Sorry you did like that, but that was hard to buy. To which Dave responded, I didn't say he never did, and no, people didn't, and it was a point of tension. And Dave also explained on Twitter saying, I'm only posting this because it's a common response and misunderstood. He promoted my appearances for a long while, no question. It became a daily battle behind the scenes when my new contract was thrust all over my face and chest. Which brings us to another criticism that people have of Dave after seeing this interview, that none of this needed to be public, and him coming forward with it all was actually in pretty bad taste. Case in point, Jeffrey Richardson on Twitter tagged Dave saying, "I don't know if this was necessary to do," to which Dave replied, "I was denied a face-to-face conversation and I'm not welcome back. I have to say why I left. I don't have the power and reach he has." At the end of the day,
But that's not true either. You can very easily just say, me and Louder with Crowder parted ways. We had our time together, but there were differences. We had disagreements over future contracts and plans, and now we decided to do our own thing. Like, you can just say that and leave. You don't have to be super dramatic about it.
the interview with Michael Malice, Dave makes it very clear that he's not asking people to stop watching Steven's show, and that moving forward, he wishes Steven nothing but the best. But I think a lot of people who are supporting Steven right now in light of this new information may no longer want to do so. And now I don't think it's my place to tell people where they should or should not spend their money. But if you are someone who's part of Mug...
Good job. Nice work. Really well done.
Is that blue or white?
No, that's Lauren Chen. Contributor to... Actually, I think she's just Lauren Chen right now. Oh, okay, let me finish this.
Club, I would love to know, does this interview that Dave give change your opinion of Steven or make you perhaps less willing to support him? In any case, that's pretty much all I have to say for now. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.
Nice.